we're going to kick off the last 25 minutes or so. Hillary Clinton, of course, is bidding to make history as the first American president. I'm sure you maybe heard that over the course of the last 12 hours or so in the news. Nicola Sturgeon making headlines across the water as she leads the SNP's charge for Westminster seats, of course. But just how far on are women in politics in Northern Ireland? What do you think? 08459 555 678. Not enough women for you? Too many? What do you think? Of the 138 hopeful general election candidates, just 34 here are female. The ratio is even lower when it comes to the Assembly. So why are we not seeing more women in local politics? Joining me now is the journalist for Nolan Meredith and the men's rights commentator Mike Buchanan. Good morning to you both.
Morning, Joel.
So, I mean, you used to be part of a Women into Politics group, didn't you?
Yes, that was actually the name of an organisation I worked for many years ago now.
So why are you not standing for election now?
I wouldn't put myself through that. I really wouldn't. And I can understand why a lot of women don't. When I worked for, I don't know, by the way, I should say, I don't know if that organisation ever did get any women into politics. They did try. It's defunct now.
They just didn't get you into politics.
No, certainly not me. And, you know, as I say, I can understand why a lot of women don't find it a very palatable idea, especially here in Northern Ireland.
Why not?
Well, I think, look at our politics. It's crude, it's adversarial, it's loaded with absurd testosterone-fueled machismo. I mean, you can see why a lot of women would look at that and think, oh God, why would I waste my time engaging with that? Which I do think is a shame. I'd love to see more women getting involved, and the only way to change a culture is from within, really. But there's just no sign of it happening yet. And political parties, some in particular, just don't seem willing to do the extra work to try to engage women.
Surely that's the nature of politics, though. I mean, everybody can't agree with everybody. It's not going to be nicey. It's not going to be nicey. It's not going to be nicey.
No, it's not. And I don't think it should be. You know, it shouldn't be all. You know. Also, I have no time for this kind of nonsense that women are somehow the lovely, softer, fairer sex. That just, you know, are into consensual politics and everything has to be really cuddly. No way. I mean, I know plenty of formidable women myself, and I don't think that that's anything really to do with it. But I do think there is a particular kind of atmosphere in stormont politics and in politics in general in Northern Ireland that is a real turn-off to women.
Do you agree with that, Mike?
No, I think, you know, it's always been the case that far fewer women than men are interested in political careers. I worked for the Conservative Party from 2006 to 8, and I can tell you, Caroline Spellman was the chairman in the second year, and the number of men applying to be prospective parliamentary candidates outnumbered the women by 10 to 1.
So what were the reasons? Why do you think that was the case?
Well, I think it's largely a reflection of the fact that few women are interested in politics outside women's issues, and it's an absolute travesty that so many women like Harriet Harman who go into politics to advance women. I mean, MPs are supposed to represent all their electorate, and men do.
Do you take that, Finola, that fewer women are interested in politics than men?
Well, sorry, the thing about Harriet Harman only representing women and that men do represent everyone, I don't even know where to begin with a statement like that. I mean, it's not about the sex per se. It's a complicated issue if you think about it. I mean, I don't think my life is going to be enhanced by the fact that there are certain women in politics here in Northern Ireland from various different political parties. I'm not going to name names because that's so invidious, but I do think it's just a matter of basic fairness. I'd like to see the population as it is represented fairly in our elected bodies.
Yeah, because
so if men outnumber women 10 to 1 in applying to be parliamentary candidates, there should still be 50-50 male and female MPs. That's not equality or fairness. It's outrageous privilege.
Well, I have wrestled for a long time with the idea of quotas, and I think I've come down on the side of no, because I do think it's artificial. Having said that, I don't really see any way that the situation is going to change without something pretty darn radical. And I think it doesn't need to change.
There is no problem to be solved. Far more men than women want political careers, so far more MPs are men than women. There is no problem here.
But I'm trying to work out why it is the case. You're saying 10 to 1. Why is it that it's so much more, it seems, according to those figures, appealing to men to be involved in politics than to women? Surely that's not a good thing.
it's not a problem. I mean, no one ever complains about fields, lines of employment which are female dominated. You take psychology.
No, but politics, politics is different because, you're looking at assemblies and the House of Parliament, which is meant to be representative of the country. And I know what we're saying is, and then people vote for them and that's why they go. But, why is it that something that is meant to be looked up at as being representative of the country, wherever it happens to be or whatever level, can be so unrepresentative in that it's unappealing, it seems, according to your figures, to such a large number of people in society who all happen to be women?
Well, engineering's unappealing to women.
Let's not make these huge generalisations, really.
Well,
I mean, are we really down at that level?
No, when I say there are lines of work that don't appeal to women, there are lines of work that do appeal to women. I repeat the
point. But let's not treat women like some big... Let's not treat women, or indeed men, like some big homogenous category where they all think the same and they all do the same thing.
No one is doing that. All I'm saying is that there are fields which are dominated by women, like psychology, and fields which are dominated by men, like engineering. So
I don't think that's a fair comparison, because I think politics is different, as Joel just said.
Do you think it's worrying, Fionnuala? Do you think it's worrying that women look at something like politics and for whatever reason, or whatever the reasons are, they look upon it and say it's totally unattractive to me to want to go and to represent the community or whatever it is, or the constituency that I live in?
Yeah, I think it's really disappointing, because I think there's lots of views that aren't being heard that should be heard. And what we do get, as I say, especially in Northern Ireland, is more and more of the same kind of confrontational, unpleasant, chest-beating nonsense that we all have to put up with, because we come from a very tribal, masculinist society. And
Mike's saying that when it comes to politics, women are only interested in women's issues and nothing else.
Well, come on, that's just facile. I mean, where would I even start kind of trying to grapple with that? What actually, I think, unfortunately here, a lot of the women who do go into politics are very interested in tribal issues, and that is their primary loyalty. So I don't think that that's a situation that we're seeing very much here. One thing I would say is that it disappointed me when I worked for that organisation, Women into Politics, how few capable, articulate women, which were the kind of women I was coming across generally, had the confidence to actually put themselves forward and enter politics and seek election. When it came to it, there was far too much kind of, oh no, I just don't think I can do that. I'm just not sure if I'm kind of capable for that, and that's really sad. I mean, I remember one time, just to finish the point, it's because it applies to politics and public life and the media in general. I remember one time reading an interview with a woman who books guests for Sky News, and she talked about how hard it was for her to get women to appear on screen. And she said she always had these conversations with women where she said, well, we'd love to have you in the panel, and they would laugh and say, oh gosh, I'm so flattered, but I just don't think I'd have anything to say. And she says, I never rung up a man who said that. So I think this is quite key in any kind of discussion about politics.
John's on the line in Dungannon this morning. Morning, John.
Morning, Joel.
How are you?
I'm fine. Just on your topic at the minute, I think one of the main reasons why there's a lot less women in politics is because women in general are a lot more honest than men.
Yeah, you think you would trust a woman politician more than you trust a male woman, wouldn't you?
Joel, have you ever heard the old saying, the only person you can really trust in life is your mum?
Right, okay, that's a new one on me.
There is truth in that.
Fionnula's sighing in the corner.
Isn't doing women any favours. Women aren't such special angels that will bring a sense of some kind of divine purity to politics. Nonsense. They're human beings like men. So let's have a fair representation of the suite of human beings that make up this society.
I know, but if you ask a woman a question, she'll probably more or less 9 out of 10 times give you a straight answer. Men never will. They'll sort of hedge around the corners of the field all day.
Well,
that's the point I'm making.
Do you? John Fields would get more straight talking on politics if it had more women. What do you think?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't make sense, because you can't generalise about women like that.
Jim is in Alder or near Aldergrove this morning. Hello, Jim.
Joel, how are you?
I'm very well. I'm not sure if you're in Aldergrove or in that neck of the woods, but sure, that's what it comes up on my screen anyway.
I'm in Belfast, but it's close enough.
Close enough.
Indeed. Joel, I want to comment on women in politics. I personally believe women don't have the inalienable right to be in politics. Elected leaders should be elected on the basis that they're the best person for the job. If it happens to be that we get an all-woman government, that would be great. If we get an all-man government, that's equally great. But I think the best person to be elected is the best person for the job.
But the point is that why it seems that there are so few women who want to actually stand for election, and why it seems such a turn-off. 34 out of 138 candidates. Not great, is it?
It's not wonderful, but it's a very demanding job. Now, I do know women can't handle demanding situations. Certainly, we had the likes of Maggie Thatcher in the past. I know a lot of people won't like that. And we have Lady Sylvia Herman here in Northern Ireland, and they have both done marvellous jobs in their careers. But, it's still down to who's best to do the job, regardless of gender.
So you're agreeing with Finola that no quotas. She's already said she would be against sort of quotas and that kind of thing. So you think she's right on that?
Absolutely. To give someone a job because they have a particular gender is wrong. They should get the job on merit, and if it happens to be a woman, that's great. But if it's a man, that's equally right.
But the parties need to be doing a heck of a lot more to actually get women involved. I think they need to, it's at that level that we need to see change. I think there needs to be big efforts there, and generally we're just not seeing that.
Jim, what do you make of what Finola was saying, that the parties are struggling to entice women, even the ones that would say that they are trying, because women don't like the sort of cut and thrust nature of the politics that we see just here, and that is a major factor. What do you make of that?
Well, there's a large element of that, of course. But, I mean, that situation can only be put right by working within the parties. You've got to work with the material you have. And if they can't attract women into the parties, then each party individually has got to look at the reasons for that.
Joel, I wonder if I might come in here.
Yes, certainly, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to raise the issue that another reason women may be disinterested in going into politics is that women are already very heavily advantaged by the state in many, many areas. So if we take, for example, national screening programs for cancers, as many men die of prostate cancer as women die of breast cancer. But there's national screening programs for breast cancer and cervical cancer and none for prostate cancer at every turn. So, let's also look at refugees. There's a mountain of evidence to say that men suffer domestic violence at the hands of women, in roughly similar terms as the opposite. But in the UK, there's over 7,000 places in refuges for women and children, and 17 for men. I mean, men are treated brutally by the state, and women are advantaged at every turn.
I don't think that's true at all. I think I hear a lot of paranoia there. I think you're seeing discrimination where it doesn't exist. Look, I'm not going to blindly...
Why then is there not a national screening program for prostate cancer?
But I don't understand how this prevents women from going into politics.
It's not relevant.
It's extremely relevant because women are very, very advantaged.
Women are not very advantaged in this society. It's farcical to hear you say that. Of course there are areas where women are doing better than others, but the fact remains that they are seriously underrepresented in politics and public life. They still earn less than men. They're still likely to be doing the lowest paid jobs. I mean, there's a heck of a lot of ways in which women have not achieved equality, and I'm sorry, but I just don't buy your line that it's men, that they're the ones who are suffering more.
Well, let's refer back to something that was touched on earlier, male suicide. Something that never comes up in these discussions about male suicide is the fact that most of them are driven by reactive depression. Men are denied access to kids following breakdowns. They have financial devastation following divorce. If they're victims of domestic violence, there's no support available to them. And 87% of street homeless people are men, and homelessness takes 30 years off the average life expectancy. And
I appreciate that those are very, very big issues, and a lot of people will find them very important. But we've only 10 minutes left, and I think we're going a bit off-piste with that. Because I don't really see the link between why that would stop women from entering the political arena. George is in Guildford this morning. Morning, George.
Good morning, Joe.
Why do you think so many women look at politics and think to themselves, that's not for me?
Well, Joel, women are made different to men, and physically and sexually and everything. And there's a lot of women just seem to be, they just want to be homemakers. You know, they're not that kind of women. And the other thing is, there's an awful lot of women, and I talk to a whole lot of women, and they say that they're slaves to their husband, but they haven't time for anything else. And even someone has told me that if ever they come back in another life, they're going to come back as a man because he has far better time than women.
Very sensible.
Joel, can I just
yes.
say something here? This raises a very interesting point about work-centeredness. Now, a world-renowned sociologist, Dr. Catherine Hakim, published a paper on preference.
I know who she
published
is.
A paper on preference theory in 2000, and her research showed that 4 out of 7 British men were work-centered, but only 1 out of 7 British women. Now, I mean that. So you'd expect men to be 80% of MPs and top businessmen and politicians and so on. On that basis alone, there is no problem to be solved here.
There's a problem. I mean, it's facile to deny that there's a problem, but I think what it comes down to, it's an issue around authority. I think a lot of people, men and women alike, are uncomfortable with the idea of female authority, of women asserting themselves and speaking clearly on issues that are important to them. I still think we have a problem with that goes way back to ancient classical times.
Oh, you have to be joking. It's been 36 years since we had a female prime minister. The idea that men...
Well, you can't pin it all on Maggie Thatcher, come on, in all fairness.
I mean, what woman today doesn't know that she can make it to the top of politics if she's talented enough and hardworking enough?
I think there are still a lot of barriers. I think it's pretty clear that there are. I mean, just look at the discussion we're having today. Look how few are actually involved.
I think that's the big point, and the point that we're trying to get to is to why they see it as being particularly unattractive or not particularly worth the effort. Finola, Kieran wants to talk to you this morning. Morning, Kieran.
Hello.
Hi, Joel. It's Finola, isn't it?
Yeah, Finola, yeah.
Finola, I think sometimes you're a bit defensive of women and overly defensive, and sometimes you can learn to take a compliment, because there are people coming on here and sort of saying that, you know, they don't want to overgeneralise, but you know, there are situations whereby women are shown to be better at conflict resolution. Now, okay, Maggie Thatcher might have taken the country to war, but
what situation? Give me an example.
Well, I look at Long in the Alliance Party at the moment. She's sitting in among them in Stormont there, and they're all fighting all around.
Why does that show that women in general are better at conflict resolution?
Well, I just feel that in a situation like that, you know, women, you know, if you look at it down through history, how many women take the countries to war, you know, in political situations? So,
Kieran, let me ask you very simply, because I want to move on and get another couple of callers in, and not mentioning any names because we can't in the run-up to an election, but are you saying that you would go as far as, if you were given the choice, you would vote for a woman before you'd vote for a man?
And at the moment, up in Stormont there, yeah, probably would.
No matter who the person was?
Well, I just feel at the moment that they're showing that any of the women that are involved in politics are showing a more reasoned approach.
There you go. No, that would have you vote one way or the other. That's interesting. Okay, well, Finola, thank you very much. And look, I'll tell you what, I'll try and throw a few compliments your way the next time you're on.
And you'll
be able to take them. There you go. And Mike, thanks for your time this morning. Nice to hear from you, Mike. That's Mike Buchanan, who's a men's rights commentator.